with my shear grab. I only bought this one in the summertime last year. But I seem to have a nice bit of rubbing going on here. Now that is way too close to that. There should be a gap over here, like that there. But the other side, whether there's a wee twist in it or whatever it is, it's rubbing very badly there, and it's rubbing here too. Like it's actually digging into the steel. And it's not that it's done a whole pile, that's all it's done there so far. Yeah, so we're gonna have to get that looked about. What's happening, ladies? So today's job in hand is to vaccinate everything, basically. All but our young calves will all get vaccinated. Anything that's going to be bred this year will need its vaccinations. Now, if you're not from a farm background, you might ask, I have this on by the way, because it's freezing, and neck warmers, they're awesome, even under a helmet. And that's our own iFarm, we farm, I know. Shameless plug. We only vaccinate for leptospirosis. We've never had a reason to vaccinate for anything else, but I know loads of people around me are vaccinating for 3-4 different things: salmonella, blackleg, IBR, BVD, and so on. So we're lucky enough we're only doing for the one at the minute, and hopefully it'll stay that way. But today's job in hand is to get these young ladies in here. Heifers that have been done for the first time, heifers that have never been in calf basically, are usually done twice. So for instance, these ones here will be done once now, and then in about 4 to 6 weeks I'll do them again. That'll get their booster jab, and that's them done after that once a year. Our cows at home will get done once a year. That's how the vaccinations work. So these ones will begin in now because it's time to get them done, although these animals won't be bred for a little bit later this year because of their size and age. They're very young compared to any other year. So I don't normally have any heifers calving down until they're at least 2 years of age by rule. Unless you had a big heifer, you know, you can judge that yourself with your own eyes. If you had a big heifer that was well able for it, okay, you might do it a bit earlier. But for these, with their size and their age, I won't be doing them until later on. I do find when you serve them, when they're young like that, it does stun their growth. So I'd hold off on it for as long as I can. Right, next thing we just load up our vaccination gun. We're going to be given 2 mil. Let's get this lad on here. Be really careful, don't break that plastic needle. And he just pushes in there. And that's him clipped. And we push this forward and it'll fill our first dose. There it is. Just a bit of loose skin that sits here behind the shoulder. And we're going to just jab it straight in. We don't need to put them in the crush or anything like that because it's really quick and painless. And we'll fire through these in a couple of minutes. I could do it this crush at home. That's the only thing. At home, it's much more difficult because the crush, oh look at it, it does my job. It was only supposed to be a temporary thing at home, and a temporary thing become a long-term thing. I think that happens on a lot of farms. But one day, I will build a crush at home and leave things just as easy as what you've seen there, because that there, that's just a blessing, so it is. We have a bit more work to do with those, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Now, we're home, just after having a cup of coffee, and you might hear the odd cow roaring. Every time you rattle a gate now, or even look like you're going to walk out into a field, they're roar like mad, because they know the time of year is here. Even after milking, they're roaring to get out, and they are going to get out now very shortly, because I couldn't blame them. It's a long time indoors, and if I was them, I'd be mad to get outside. Yes, wait, we'll get to you in a minute. So what I'm going to do now is I have to be really careful of what I'm doing, because the yard this time of year is like an absolute bottle, and I don't want an animal to fall and break his leg, because it can happen so handy, especially when animals are so excited as they are, because they don't think they're going out to get vaccinated and fired back into the house. They think they're going out to grass. So I'm going to let this side out first, let them stand over here, and then leave the door opened, close this gate, do them 4 or 5 in the chute at a time, whatever way we can get it, whatever works easiest, and just let them back into the house as we do them. And then when we have that house completely done, we'll do the other side exactly the same way. And then over here, there's a few that we have to dose as well. And as well as that, we have a load of tags to replace. There's 28 in total of tags to replace. Yeah, they're good fun on their own. So we have them all here now today. We'll get all that done. So let's get at it. Go on. Now, as you can see with this girl, she hasn't just lost one, she has lost both her tags. Her last tag fell off last weekend. She is notorious for losing them. She has lost more tags. She's the oldest cow here. You might remember on the last video where she calved, where the calf was in the water bag. This is the same girl. She had a tag on that time, but she's lost it since. She doesn't feel it because I'm putting it back in the same holes it came out of. So she can go back in there and we start this other side. Alright, so that's all our cows vaccinated. That is the ones we needed to dose. Dosed, tails are all clipped, full service done. Great job to get done. Now I should feel in good humour for getting all that done, but not so much, because we've had a bit of an issue with our water over the past week. So I got a phone call. Our water comes from a local group scheme, and there's meters here all dotted. Every single farm and house, dwelling house, has a meter. I got a phone call from the guy that runs that local water scheme, and he told me that there had been a little bit of a spike in water usage in our area, and they kind of have zones. I think that's the way it kind of works between a certain amount of houses, and they'll always check that zone rather than check every individual meter. They'll check that zone. If they see a spike in usage, then they'll go out and physically check the meters and see which house or which place is that's causing it. So I got a phone call about a week ago telling me that we had, our usage was up from, I think, about 7 cubic meters, however that's calculated. I wouldn't know much about them kind of things, but 7 cubic meters to 13. I think that's a day. I think that's the way it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's where our water went up to. So it's nearly double the amount of usage that we would have had. So straight after I got that call, I went out and I checked the entire farm. Now most of our trots and stuff are all turned off. I'd have a stopper for every 4 or 5 drinkers, and I'd turn them off throughout the winter time, because you know yourself with frost and stuff, you can get leaks very, very quickly. So to not have to bother touching those things, I just turn them off over the winter time. The only thing that stays running is our mains that comes the whole way to the farm. And our mains in the farm comes through that gate there, underneath the concrete. It travels over along here. It goes round a kind of a semicircle, and it feeds my house. It also feeds our home dwelling house. After a long time, long story short, I found our leak, and our leak was in the worst place you could ever have it, and that was underneath the kitchen in my mother and father's house, my home house. So I got guys in to fix it, local lads that work on the water scheme. They came a little mini digger and we dug down, and we thought we'd find it quite easily. Well, I'll show you the hole now in a second and you can make your mind up, but we have it fixed. But it was a whole day's affair, and it was a lot of digging and a lot of tunnelling under the house, rather than having to tear the house in bits, the floor of the kitchen, which my mother wasn't going to allow, which I wouldn't want to do anyway in an older house. So we managed to dig down and dig in underneath the foundations, and we found our leak. Talk about a bit of hassle, but we got it sorted. That was the main thing. So I was glad to get it fixed and know that our water usage would be back to normal and we wouldn't be wasting any water. Until I was finishing off my cattle here today, and I noticed this. That's a water leak, and that's under the concrete. And I know where it is. Well, I have an idea where it is, and I know why it's decided to leak. I've been always watching on for something to go wrong. Now, you might know sometimes they talk about the water going off in our sheds, freezing whenever there's a frost. We got this yard put in about 2008, 2009 when we built this shed. Brand new yard. But I wasn't here when the guys were putting it in, and my father eyed the lads putting in the water, and I did say to them, when you're putting the water in, bury it down, put it down as deep as you can possibly go with it. And they did do that until they got to here, where the new yard met the old slat that goes out here. And they brought the water up because they had to join into the old water that was going into this house already. So the water had to come up and meet that old connection and join it there, and that's exactly what has caused the whole thing. And that's exactly, I'd say, where it freezes every single time. So yeah, we have a water leak there, and that's not going to be fun, especially when I'm already up to my neck in work with slurry and stuff. I just didn't want to see it. We're going to get the console in, and I'm going to cut a small section here. We're going to dig down. I know it's not deep there, so I'm hoping that we'll find a pipe, and then we'll just have to keep going back and back through the yard, digging, and hopefully we don't have to go back too far. Look for it and fix it. Let's run into the tank as well. So anyway, what do you do? Yeah, so this is the problem we had with our other pipe. There's water laying in the bottom of it there. That was just seeping in from all the leak that we had, but that there is about 5 foot deep, and it goes under the house about 5 foot as well. Yeah, because that's where the joiners are. That there was no fun, I can tell you. But we left it open to make sure the leak doesn't come back. The boys are coming back, and we're going to fill it with 804, and then we're going to concrete on top of it, and hopefully that job is fixed as well. Right, problem here is I've hit the water pipe with the saw. That's how shallow it is. It's actually in the middle of the concrete. And now it's 4:30 and I'm in a bit of bother because the cows will have no water now, and I really have to fix it now. Why I started this so late in the evening, I'll never know, but look, here goes. Right, so this is where I cut it with the console. We're just going to cut this off now. We're going to put a joiner on here. These joiners I'm putting on are temporary, by the way, and I just want to get the water working. But I think our leak is here. I can see a drip there as well. It's a bit hard because we have dirty at the minute. But I'm going to fix this one for starters, and then I'm going to have a look when we turn it on. And I'm hoping it's this joint here that's leaking. I'm pretty sure it is. If it is, then we can fix that as well. I don't have any fill max here at the house, and I'm not going to get one this evening because I just want to get this fixed for now. I can always take it off tomorrow and put another piece of pipe on, which is probably what I'm going to have to do anyway. Right, well, you might think my connection's leaking. You'd be right to think that, but it's actually this that's leaking. There's our joint problem there, that's what's leaking the whole time. I'm going to do a different job on it. I'm going to take this back off again. I'm going to cut this here, just to give me a little bit more room in between. I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to put a new piece of pipe from here to here, a new straight joiner, new piece into this T as well, and that's going to fix the problem. That'll do us for the night. It's now gone 5 o'clock, and I can quite pleased to tell you, well, pleased in one way to tell you that I have it fixed. The hole that I put with the console is fixed, and our main leak that was coming from here is also fixed. But tomorrow I'll get Filmac fittings. I'll cut this back a bit further. I'm going to try to lay it down a bit. I'm going to cover that pipe, put something on top of it to protect it against the frost. Someday I'm just going to have to trace back that pipe only to about there where the new concrete was. The rest I know is deep because my father put it down with a pick and shovel, but we're going to have to go back to there and lower this down as far as we can get it down, because you can see it didn't take long to dig that wee bit out. So that's the only way we're going to fix that. Well, it's a brand new day, and as you can see, brand new colours in the field as well. That first part of today's video was filmed about 3 weeks ago, believe it or not. Cows have been out since that. I didn't actually film the cows going out this year. I was just kind of under pressure and a lot of stuff going on, and my kids weren't actually at home that day to let them out. But they've been out for the past week and a half doing really well. Ground's in really good condition. But unfortunately, they're not out today and they're not happy. The roars and the roars. It's 9:30 this morning. You go into the yard at all, they'd roar you down. They want to get back out. And that's what you kind of have to come up again when you put them back in again. But the countryside is looking rather white. We had a lot of snow last night. There's several inches of snow out there, and unfortunately that's going to wet the ground. That's going to really wet the ground and put things into a different perspective. Around here, ground takes a lot longer to dry out. It's heavy ground. But anyway, that's it. That's the scenario for the day's video. Lots of old stuff. At least the pipe is fixed now. The other water's fixed as well. We just keep going on. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with some rather unhappy cows to be back in, and we'll see you on the next one, guys.